Go ahead.
Okay, very good. So today's agenda includes an update on overall enrollment, a report on the quality of the data up to now and missing data. We're going to discuss a little bit the survey on centers demographic that was just sent to you via email the last 2 or 3 days by Phil Greer. Please let us know if you were not able to receive that. The plan so as to wrap up the first phase of Apprentice within the next 2 to 3 months. We're going to also review the publishing process once more to include proposals, the publication committee, and how we're going to analyze the data. And we're going to expand and discuss what will be our next directions after completing phase 1 of the study. Okay. So in respect to enrollment, we are now almost up to 1,100 patients. The number that is presented here, 1166, includes all subjects registered. However, approximately 60 of them were screen failures, so they were not actually real patients. So we're around 1,100. We are doing well as far as time. However, I want to remind you that our goal is 1,300 to 1,400 by the end of May. Number of patients with follow-up data, regardless if they're good or incomplete, is around 670, 680. Of course, with the understanding that there are a lot of patients that were enrolled in the last 3 months, so they won't have follow-up data available yet. Since February 1st, the last month and a half, we have enrolled close to 100 patients. And as you can see from the pie presented, of these patients, 35%, around 35% were enrolled in US centers, and the rest of them in international centers. Again, this is an important slide just to give credit to the centers that they're really doing very well with enrollment. Cleveland Clinic has enrolled 94 subjects. However, a small portion of them were screen failures, so that's important to mention. So probably the #1 enrolling center at this point is Apollo Hospital in Kolkata, India. Congratulations to our collaborators there. Centers that are doing extremely well are also Monterrey in Mexico, Hospital Professor Posadas in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Lithuania is doing extremely well. Johns Hopkins, our center at UPMC as well. The hospital in Paraguay, Indiana University, the hospital in Cluj, Romania, Athens, Greece, Rome, Italy, Mexico City, Mexico, Bucharest, Romania. These are the top enrolling centers. I really need to mention also a couple of centers that were started enrolling patients later in the process, such as the Eastern Maine Medical Center, who's doing very well, as well the Allegheny General Hospital in Pittsburgh. Again, credit to the centers in the US that have been enrolling a lot of patients, and the international centers that have been doing extremely well as well. Now, a couple of days ago, you received via email the survey on centers demographics. This is an extremely important and mandatory survey to all the centers that are participating. This survey was designed with the help of Dr. Jeff Isler at Indiana University, and it's we send out a link to you, Phil Greer, our data manager from the University of Pittsburgh. We send out a survey through Qualtrics, which is a very easy way and convenient way to fill it in. The survey to be filled will only take 10 minutes, but some of the questions you might need to find the numbers through your hospital. It is extremely important and mandatory. We have to have an idea of different centers' demographics as well as enrollment processes and rate of patients that have been enrolled, because there is a tremendous variety between the 20 different centers. And this is crucial for the interpretation of the outcomes, as well as to be able to answer back any reviewer comments and concerns in respect to our enrollment process. So this is a major priority. You should have received this survey as well, and I would urge all of you to make these questions a top priority into your daily work, and hopefully we can have all the results within the next few weeks. In respect to data monitoring, currently our data monitoring group in Pittsburgh has been very busy under the guidance of Phil Greer. The monitor group currently also include one of our GI fellows, Mohamed Dugam, and one of our hospitalists, Anwar Dudekula. The monitoring group has recently sent out the third round of emails to all participating centers. These emails are extremely important. We are placing a lot of effort to monitor the process and send you this email, so please answer back. Let the monitoring group, if you have any questions, as well as let them know that you are in the process of trying to optimize your data and fill in any gaps. At this point, the percentage of missing data, and this we should give credit to the monitor group for that, has dropped to around 10%, which is better than it was before, which was around 25%, but I think we still have significant room to improve things. Of course, we are behind in follow-up data, so I would like your attention in the 3-month follow-up questionnaires. These are extremely important. There are a lot of significant questions we can answer with the 3-month follow-up questionnaires. So please make an extra effort to follow your patients at 3 months, either with a phone call or with a clinic visit, and try to catch up with those as well. In respect to data quality, as we mentioned, around 10% of enrolled subjects have referred to large amount of missing data. Some of that is attributed to recent enrollments and because of the fact that the data have not been yet updated. However, I want to make clear that those subjects with missing data, major missing data that are more than 25% of the total data that are required will likely be removed from the data set at the time of analysis, because we want high quality analysis. And as mentioned, as we have already mentioned, and this is clear in our authorship guidelines, the priority on authorship and assignment of projects will be to centers and PIs with the higher numbers of enrollment, but we're talking about subjects without missing and high quality data. Again, centers' final enrolling number will be calculated after removing subjects with missing data or screen failures, of course. So this is the time to follow up on those monitoring emails, go back into your data and try to complete missing data as well as optimize data. For example, we have a lot of issues with the values that we're requesting. You really need to follow the guidelines, what we have recommended. So very important, weight has to be in kilograms. Height has to be in centimeters. If you add the height in meters, that makes a huge difference. So these are small things. So make sure that you understand exactly and double check in what units the data are required. Another very important example is waist. Waist is in inches. It's very easy if you are if you're using the metric system to translate or transform centimeters to inches. So these are very important steps that you should follow on doing that the next 2 to 3 months. I'm going to just check my email to see if we have any issues with any of our participants, because I understand that
I'm going to answer.
Please. So Amir is next to me and he's going to try to answer. So just to give you an example, this chart was actually made on a couple of days ago on March 15th. As you can see from those subjects, that there were actually actual patients and not screen failures, and at that point there were 1,050 patients. We're missing AIDS in 1.6%. I mean, AIDS is a very easy target. You should definitely go back and fill in all the cells. BMI in 4.6%. Etiology, which is crucial, in 4.3%. So it's very important to focus on that. And then when we go into cells that are a little bit more sometimes difficult to fill, especially in transfer patients, in pain at admission, we're missing 12%, in transfer status, and 3%. In length of stay, which is crucial, correct? Because we have to know how long the patients stayed in the hospital. That's one of the main outcomes. 16%, it's very high. We have to work on that. IV fluids within the first 24 hours in 10%. And of course, revised Atlanta classification. This is crucial because this is our main outcome in 13% of the patients. So please focus on following up on that and filling those cells. As a reminder, I would like also once again to thank Phil Greer for his great work and the monitoring committee for the monitoring group for all their effort. Now, we are getting close to finalize the first phase of Apprentice. And again, by saying first phase, this is the time that we can lock the data and start running some ideas for proposals and writing and preparing some manuscripts. Our goal is to exceed 1,300 subjects, excluding screen failures, and to make sure that we have optimal data in more than 1,000 patients. I think presenting data on more than 1,000 patients, it's psychologically, but also realistically, it's a very important point to show the reviewers that we have a very robust prospective database. So the plan, as we discussed, is to remove subjects with fair to large missing data, meaning around 20 or 25%. Furthermore, we are thinking, and I would like your input on that, not to include centers that have contributed a small number of subjects. And this number should be around 20. Because imagine, if a center, for example, sees 100 or 150 patients with acute pancreatitis per year, and they only were able to capture in the study less than 20 of them, which is a very small portion, we are very much concerned that there's going to be a huge bias in those centers as far as enrollment bias, and then we would like to use centers where the rate of enrollment in comparison to the rate of patients admitted are similar, so as to make our data more homogeneous. We're going to continue working the monitor group to find discrepancies in the data. For example, if the organ failure development and assignment of the revised Atlanta classification severity is not matching. So we're performing additional analysis, and in the near future we'll have another round of emails contacting the centers on such discrepancies. We plan to lock the data on June 1st for the first phase of analysis. So that's going to be the first phase of Apprentice. However, I would recommend to continue enrolling. And I'm very glad to announce today in all our collaborators that I was able, through a small internal grant from the University of Pittsburgh physicians, and I'm very grateful to them, to secure a biostatistician who will be in charge of the data after June 1st. He will do all the combing and cleaning of the data and perform all the statistical analysis for all the projects. So what I need from you guys is to think about proposals. We have already received a good amount of proposals, but we need more. Our goal is to be able to prepare at least close to 10 manuscripts from the first phase of the data. So as most of our collaborators that have worked so hard to get the credit for the work with publications as well. So right now, as I mentioned, we have received 14 proposals, but they are from very limited amount of centers, because some centers like Cleveland Clinic or Bucharest or University of Pittsburgh have submitted multiple proposals. The publication committee and analysis committee, this is the time that will become much more active, and we plan to collaborate via emails the next couple of months, but also, if possible, some of us or all of us to meet at DDW this year to review and prioritize proposals. Again, there is still, actually, this is the time to send out new proposals or to revise your submitted ones. The evaluation of the projects will be based on clinical significance, of course, of the research question, novelty of the research questions, and, of course, data availability to answer the questions from the apprentice data set. And we might need to modify the proposal if the committee feels that there is some room for improvement. And then, of course, following final approval by the committee, the assigned center will start the project. As we mentioned, the assigned center and PI won't have to do any of the biostatistical work. All the statistical analysis will be done centrally at the University of Pittsburgh by the biostatistician that we will able to secure his funds. And there will be a for this step, we will need to have a close communication between the UPMC group, the biostatistician, and the assigned PIs. The UPMC group includes Phil Greer, our biostatistician, our data manager, and Dheeraj Yadav, one of our senior pancreas investigators that will supervise the process, and they will help completing the data. If the assigned PI or center, because of language barriers, especially for the international centers, feels that they need help with scientific writing, we will have available a group of young, enthusiastic investigators that they're good in writing, that could help in writing of the current paper. But I want you to understand that if this is the case, then the first authorship will be shared between the assigned PI and the person that will do the scientific writing following the guideline, or the authorship guideline. And the deadline will be set for writing the manuscript. So you won't have all the time in the world. You're probably going to get 50 months. So you have to do this manuscript your priority. And of course, you can always go to our detailed authorship guidelines on website for any questions or for a better understanding of the process. Now, in respecting to continue with the apprentice, my suggestion is to continue our enrollment, and at that point, when we are close to lock the current phase, we plan to revise the red card questionnaires. We have already identified a few areas that need to be revised, but we will also need your help on that. So please send us emails with suggestions, as well as suggestions for more questions that can lead in future research projects. And of course, the second phase of apprentice should also include collect of samples. Samples can be DNA, but also serum, plasma, and urine. And we plan to provide a detailed universal protocol in all centers that have the infrastructure to do so. Furthermore, that will help to expand APPRENTICE from a pure clinical into a translational study. And you have always have to think of applying for funding, but for collecting samples, funding will be required. And of course, down the road, we should start thinking of randomized control trials, clinical trials using the APPRENTICE platform. So as I mentioned, I was able, through a UPP grant that I submitted, to secure the support for the biostatistician effort for a year. Internal small grants into your institutions can be extremely helpful for the future, especially to initiate and support sample collection. So think of that. Investigate if there are any local support that you can go after. But we need more ideas and also manpower to move on into proposals for funding through NIH, the National Institute of Health, industry, or GI organizations. Even though we have not completed the first phase of our first manuscript, that actually was a methodology paper, is now officially published and online, in the Annals of Gastroenterology. And the APPRENTICE methodology abstract has been accepted as a poster and will be presented with all your names on at next this year's DDW in May in Chicago. In respect to the Analysis and Publication Committee, I'm just reminding to all of you that it's a committee that includes members throughout the world. USA is represented by Vikesh Singh from Hopkins, Europe by Enrique Di Madaria from Spain, India by Dr. Kochar, and then South America by Silvia Gutierrez in Buenos Aires, and myself. So the committee the next couple of months will be busy reviewing the proposals and providing comments as well as prioritizing them. So this is my last slide, a very important slide. These are the things that I'm expecting from all of you, and this is the time to optimize your work and devote as much time as you can into APPRENTICE. Let us try to maximize our enrollment for the next 3 months, so we'll have 1,500 subjects. Let us try to optimize our data by filling missing data and also work on data consistency. And again, very important to use the values that are requested in itself. Please make an effort to complete the Qualtrics survey in each center, because this survey is extremely important for us to have a good idea of your center's demographics as well as the rate of enrollment and the methods that you use to capture patients. Another thing that we will have to do the next month or two is revise renew our IRB, our umbrella IRB here at the University of Pittsburgh. And to be able to do that, we will need from all the participating centers, both the US and the international centers, to provide to us your currently approved IRB or ethics committee letter, so as we can submit that to our central IRB. So this is extremely important. It will be extremely unfortunate to have the study closed by the IRB because we could not provide follow-up letters. The person in charge for that will be our research coordinator here, Emily Bayer, and I include her email in that slide. And remember, these slides in the next couple of days will be up in our APPRENTICE website through CAPER. Of course, you need also to follow, to work on catching up with the 3 months follow-ups that we are clearly behind. Think of research questions and send your proposals, your new or your revised proposals for research projects into our committee. This is the time to do that. And of course, start working and assessing and try to find support to collect samples. It will be extremely important if in phase 2, a good portion of centers can collect samples. And of course, think apprentice. Think of where we should go in the future. If you have any collaborations with industry, see if there's any industry that has an agent that they would like to try in patients with acute pancreatitis. Promote and support apprentice. I think this, at this point, my presentation is completed, and I would like to see if there are any questions from any of the attendees.
George, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I'm Mari. I'm from Mexico, but I just connect by phone because I wasn't able to do it by computer. But did you have like a plan to meet at the DW?
Yes, we can we have not set a plan, but I think that would be a great idea. That's a very good point. So maybe all the collaborators that they will be around, maybe if we can meet at DDW, and I can work on that and see if we can arrange a meeting, probably in the middle of the conference, probably either Saturday or Sunday. How about that?
Sure. And great. For me, it's great. And the other thing is the proposals is just like a few pages, right? It's like we don't have to write a complete protocol.
No. Just the title of the proposal and an abstract. Just, you know, to give us like an abstract, just to give us an idea of what you want to do.
Yeah, and the other thing is like waste lines. Like when measuring, probably there is gonna be a lot of variability because every center probably will measure the waste at different levels. So I don't know how that is gonna work.
You know, we have around 70% of patients we had waste measurements already. The easiest thing to do, at least in the US, even ask the patients, you know, what sort of the size of the pants that they're wearing.
Okay, great.
And that would be for information. Amir, you want to add something?
Yeah. First, for the proposal template, we made a template in the last session and sent to all center. I can resend to you. It's okay. Like a one-page proposal that has like a research question, the variables which is required, and the amount of data which is needed. And in terms of like the that Dr. Papakouriou mentioned, in every question it's clearly mentioned the units that you have to like follow to enter the data. But still, and I understand because I was doing this job for a year, sometimes when you're fast, you made mistakes. These things that happen is not just because centers have different settings. Everyone knows how to enter data, but just out of mistake sometimes, which is in some cases, they entered it in like a meter instead of centimeters and things like this, that we have some check on tricks, I would say, yes, that we can just capture that. But generally, most of the data are all in the universal, consistent pattern. I think that the best point about this study is that all data are consistent together from different parts of the world. And as you show me, we have to apologize few centers that because of this issue that we just faced this time, Dr. Capurso from Italy, Libya, and Dr. Isler could not join. These are those who sent me an email. Dr. Dhaka from India. I would say there were more people who could not join and probably did not send any.
Yes, we'll make sure that we'll have the webinar app on the website and the actual recording of the webinar soon.
I will like your YouTube and send the YouTube link to everyone.
So Mario, yes, last year we met during the Pitt alumni. I will have to investigate on that and see if we can do that again this year, or we can set a separate meeting. But we'll definitely work on trying to meet all the investigators at DDW, and Amir will be sending out again the template. It's very simple, just letting us know the proposal and what data are required, because we want to make sure that these data are captured. Thank you so much, Mario.
Okay.
Hopefully,
great. Sure. See you at DDW then.
Yes. Any other questions or any comments or anyone else that would like to
internationally join us now in the
yeah. Okay. We were trying to be as detailed as we can. Again, we're really sorry today. We ran into some trouble with GoToWebinar, and the number of attendees was limited. So I know that there were people that were trying to participate and they could not. Probably next time we'll try to find a way to ensure that we'll have enough number of attendees, slots for attendees available. So again, I don't know if anyone else from our international collaborators, Dr. Gula, Dr. Gutierrez, Dr. Di Maria, Dr. Barbu, that are on. Dr. Good, if you would like to mention something, of course, Vikesh is also online. David Whitcomb is online. Konstantinos Triadafilou. If you have, you know, any questions or any comments, please feel free. That now it's the time to, or even just saying hi to talk to us.
They have to click on the like a hand sign, and we can see if they want to talk. Because right now they're all
muted. Yeah, there is a small hand sign that you have to, like a palm sign that you have to. There are a couple of them. So I saw that David. Maybe we can give David by just clicking on it. How can I do it?
I did.
I think David, now you will be able, Dr. Whitcomb will be able to talk. One second, we have some. David?
This, he has to
there.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, George, I want to congratulate you and the team for an enormous amount of work to make this a reality, and especially the effort into building REDCap, which seems to be working fairly well. I wanted to remind everyone that the Apprentice is being coordinated by the Collaborative Alliance for Pancreatic Education and Research, CAPER, and that the annual meeting is during Pancreas Fest this year in Pittsburgh in late July. And if you go to pancreasfest.com, the information about Pancreas Fest is there. There's going to be a couple very exciting presentations about acute pancreatitis, and we are reserving some time so that if the pancreas or the apprentice group would like to meet, we can accomplish that. Also, if there are specific topics or things that people would like to either discuss or clarify, or going through some sample collection protocols, please let Dr. Pippa Christou or me know, and we'll make sure that that's included in the Pancreas Fest agenda.
Perfect. Again, I have to remind to all of you that David Whitcomb is the godfather of Apprentice. He was the one that found the acronym for the study, and he has been so supportive and inspirational to all of us. Thank you, David. And now maybe we can have Enrique Di Maria from Spain. 1 second, Enrique, we'll try to unmute you. Maybe now you can talk. Enrique?
Hello?
Hi, Enrique.
Hello, how are you? Well, let me congratulate all of you for this huge effort. Like David Whitcomb said, I think that this project is going very well. We have joined on January. We have only entered 12 patients, but we are entering every patient with acute pancreatitis. I think that this first phase is an opportunity to make some manuscripts, but the project should go on. Maybe we can identify with Apprentice those groups that may be highly active and to make randomized controlled trials and more ambitious projects. And we are storing biological samples for this possible second phase of Apprentice. And I think everything is going very, very well, and it's very exciting to be in Apprentice.
Great. Thank you, Enrique, for your kind words. And we're looking forward to Alicante continuing to participate actively. I know for some centers, the amount of time for the IRB approval that was taken was longer than others, and we completely understand that. Enrique has been a very close collaborator for many years and has done incredible work in Spain with multi-center trials, and he's very experienced with randomized control trials as well. So I think, Enrique, I would suggest, of course, depending on your time and availability, that you know, if we look forward in the future to design a randomized trial, I would like to, you know, invite you and use your expertise as one of the principal investigators in designing and maybe applying for funding as well.
Great, thank you very much.
And I think there is also Dr. Barbu from Romania that would like to speak. Sorin, I think now you are unmuted.
Yes, thank you. I just two more questions. I did not receive first the good link to have the survey.
Okay, that's very important.
Yeah, and the second one, I don't know if I've understood well, for the IRB, if from my ethical committee,
yes,
they do not need to renew it, should we ask for a letter to state this? A letter of the ethical committee to say our IRB is permanent or has no limit of time?
That's fine.
Okay.
I have yours on file when I asked for it over the winter break, I think. So if you're not going to collecting samples or anything, then I won't need your IRB. But if you are collecting samples and change in your protocol, then I will need the updated IRB that reflects that. Does that make sense?
Okay, so when
we are okay for renewing our IRB, but moving ahead to phase 2, if you think you have the resources to collect samples, probably you will need to let your ethics committee know about that there is a modification to the study, and then we'll need a revised letter approving that.
Yeah, yes, of course. As soon as the protocol is finished, so I can put it in the request to the ethical committee, we'll have a new IRB. Okay.
And I have to mention here that Dr. Barbu has been very supportive and has worked very hard as a site principal investigator from the beginning of Apprentice. Has also submitted very interesting proposals for research. So I would like to thank you again for all your support and your effort. I know that many of the centers have limited resources, so I would really like to take the opportunity to thank you for all your effort and support.
Okay, is there anyone else that's currently on the webinar who has not received the survey link that you know of?
Yeah, if there's anyone else that had issues with the survey link, please let us know. What we can also do is maybe upload the survey link into the website, Apprentice website. That's it, correct? I don't see anyone there.
Oh, Dr.
Oh, Dr. Tredafilou, Konstantinos. Let us. Konstantine, you are, hopefully you are on. You can talk now.
Hello. Good afternoon. Here in Greece now it's afternoon. Let me follow up with a congratulations and just to ask a question or have a query. I'm currently preparing a local amendment of the protocol in order to collect sample. Do you recommend to go on this way or just wait for a central amendment to submit with my IRB?
So when is your IRB due to expire? Do you know?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you well.
Do you know when your IRB is due to expire?
No, my IRB is not expiring. It's forever.
Okay, so in that case, if you're going to make an amendment to for sample collection, just go ahead and submit that amendment, and then whenever it's approved, if you could email that.
Yes, for sure, but it would be, I don't know if it would be better to wait for your centrally your centrally written amendment. I don't want to do any duplicate work because it's, for me, it's very frustrating sometimes. I have to officially translate the IRB letter, and this might be a little bit frustrating for us and might delay our responses.
Konstantina, you're completely right. What we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, upload the protocols of how to do, if you need some guidance of how to do the sample collection and how to process the samples. And then we will also work on our IRB, and we have this template available to you, and that will be, hopefully that will make your, the process a little bit more straightforward and smooth. But we'll definitely do that. So I would suggest not to jump on that yet, and we will follow up on that and guide you and assist you on that.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having us on board.
That I'm very impressed of how well Athens is doing, and Konstantinos is a friend of mine for years, and it's very impressive to see that recently you guys reached 50 patients enrolled. That's excellent. Thank you very much for all your great work.
Yes, 53 actually. Thank you for having us on board. Bye-bye.
Bye. Again, once more, I would like to apologize for the limited number of attendees that we have today. I see those signals coming up all the time that people are trying to join, but with a limited number of slots, they cannot join, and we're really sorry about that. This was something we just realized before the beginning of the meeting. We didn't have an issue like that before. I think that's all it, correct? Yes.
You can just name.
So I think it's almost 11. On behalf of Amir, Emily, and myself, we would like to thank you for participating. Again, we apologize for any technical problems today, but the webinar will be available to everyone through YouTube. Keep up the strong work. This is the time. The next 3 months are crucial for phase 1. This is the time to optimize all our efforts in the last couple of years. And I will follow up on all the items that we talked about. Have a good weekend. A great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Right.